Hey everybody, my name is Deanna Clark-Esposito, and I'm here today with Tony Liu of the Focus Law Group. His team helps entrepreneurs stabilize, scale, and grow their businesses without worrying about or fear of legal consequences. Tony, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here. So Tony was kind enough to let me interview him today. I found that our clients have, a certain set of needs that overlap, and we thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to share some of his business law knowledge to my clients and to his clients, so that they can have a better idea of some of the issues that they run into. At my law firm, we help streamline the global business operations of importers and exporters. And I'd like to ask you, Tony, some questions. If I could do this, it's sort of
Sure,
slanted towards importers and exporters. Okay, but I'd
sure.
love to hear what you have to say in terms of suggestions you'd have for any of these companies starting
Mm.
out, and what they should consider before starting.
Starting import exporting business.
Starting, yes, or starting a business in general, what you might recommend.
Yeah. If you want to start import exporting business, internal preparation uh, before you pull the trigger is the same across the board. No matter what kind of business you want to start, you want to determine what role you want to play in this realm of import export. Whether or not you want to be a merchant, where you buy the merchandise from a manufacturer and sell it here in the US, or vice versa. Whether or not you want to be a representative or a broker, where you match up the manufacturers and the wholesaler in different countries, or you want to be a supporting role for import-export businesses. So it kind of like you need to determine what role you want to play um, in this field, and then you need to figure out the second question is where is the capital going to come from, right? Um, Obviously, it depends what role you want to play. If you want to be a merchant, there will be a significant capital that you need to put together. Just for example, for last few months, I think PPE was pretty hot item to import from Asia to United States, and a lot of those manufacturers they require the purchase upfront, the funds upfront. So inevitably, there's always a financial, multiple partners in this situation, and one of them is always a financier of the transaction who put up significant amount of capital into this transaction. And that's kind of like an example. And it is a growing trend now, especially in the COVID situation that we're in. More and more manufacturers, they require that you pay a certain stage. For example, if they need a certain amount before they start manufacturing process, and then they require you to pay a certain additional amount to if a certain percentage when they um, start working on the production. And another benchmark is when they finish the product and when they ship the goods, and then when they finally deliver the goods to you. So they kind of want to get paid a certain stage. Um, that happened more and more during this last few months, especially in the situation we're in right now. Obviously, they want to leverage, they want to minimize the risk of not getting paid as well. So you need to figure out your capital situation. Uh, so that's the number two question. And then third is more traditional question you have to ask is who, who is my buyer, right? Marketing research. You need to figure out who will be my buyer for those goods. What goods that I'm importing and whether or not there's a market for those goods. What what are the costs of manufacturing? What can I sell them for? What's my potential profit? You kind of have to make sure there's enough demand for those goods that you want to import or export, so that you can figure out exactly what you are into before we search for the manufacturer to produce those goods. Now, uh, especially now in COVID situation, you kind of want to have a list of the manufacturers to produce the goods that you want to import, preferably two or three. Reason being is that you don't want to be in a situation where you have a dispute with one of the manufacturers and then there's a disruption of supply chain. Um, if you have two or three as a backup, at least you can ask your backup manufacturers to produce the same goods. That will minimize the disruption. So that's the advice I will give to the people who want to start. Oh, and internal resources. In United States, SBA has a tremendous amount of resources for exporting. And if you want to know about what resources that the other country have, go to their consulate website. They do more than just issuing passport. Sometimes the consulate office, one of their function is to promote their business from their country as well, to exporting the goods from their country. So they are very happy to provide information to you. Sometimes they don't have the list of the manufacturer on their website. They don't put that on the website anymore, but you kind of can ask them where you can get that list. Then oftentimes they will give you some idea where to get the different list of manufacturers for the goods that you're looking for. So that's a very a good resources to get consulate's office.
Absolutely. And thank you. Because in thinking about that, the commercial attaches offices based in other countries, they have a lot of information. They're based at the consulates in other countries. Export.gov, there's a lot of resources there.
Mm.
There's also a resource called Export Connect, and that lists different service providers, and they have videos and other information where you can go and find providers, and some of them have other content, videos, articles, etc., that are also great for learning more when you're starting out. So thank you for all that solid information.
Oh, I mean, I just love it when you use the proper term because I know when I describe those resources to you, I'm just using whatever coming to my mind. But you definitely hit a point. Those are the resources that you want to take advantage of. So thank you, Dina.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I know experienced importers and exporters, they need guidance too. And so I
Yeah.
wondered if you could speak a little bit about some of the things that they should be paying attention to, or that might be useful as they're growing their businesses and to help them stabilize their businesses.
For those who are more stabilized or established businesses, you pretty much need to pay attention right now, especially right now. You need to pay attention to the regulatory changes for particular product that you're importing, right? Especially whether or not there's a restriction, whether or not there is a different duty for that particular goods, how that can impact your business. Those fluctuates, unfortunately. And I have many clients that their frustration is that they know there's gonna be a duty imposed, not like before, because of the trade war, for lack of a better term, the trade war that we're in right now. Unfortunately, if they do know a concrete information, what percentage they're going to be taxed on, they will live with it. But right now, they're kind of up in the air, and they just don't know exactly about this duty situation. So that's kind of like a frustration part that they have. So they always need to constantly monitoring the changes, the regulatory changes in about the product that they are importing. That's number one. Especially in COVID right now, during March, during the month of March or April this year, we listened to a lot of term about force majeure. And I kind of have to go into that a little bit.
Can you
If
explain what force majeure means for those who may
yeah,
not know?
obviously you need to consult with your local attorney because each state they have a different rules on it. But pretty much it is not a get out of jail card for you to terminate your contractual obligation, right? Um, it's not a way for you to do that, but it is a way to put a pause on the on your contractual relationship with the other party, and so that you guys can renegotiate and working out the deals and solve the problem and then restart. Okay, so you will not relieve your obligation, but you will put a pause on it and have an opportunity to renegotiate different terms with on the other side, and then restart. So you really want to have this cause right now because things happen all the time. Whether or not because of COVID situation, sometimes people get sick, they're not able to work. Sometimes their production were not able to meet your production level, for example. Those kind of situations, you need to have a lifeline that you can say, hey, you know what, since we're not receiving this good on time, let's work out a deal. So to solve this problem. So you need to have that in place right now, particularly. Um, Also, I really suggest you to hire an attorney on your side, the one that you can work with, the one um, that really can be your partner, so to speak, for your business, where you guys, the attorney can help you to keep track of these changes right now and figure out a solution for your business, so you guys can like move along with this constant, ever-changing landscape of regulations, and then still profitable, and you guys still can grow at the same time. So I think that's really important for the more established companies.
Yeah, Tony, I completely agree. And, we were just talking a few minutes ago about how had certain importers had trade counsel in place, a customs
Mhm,
attorney, that they would have known to take advantage of a potential opportunity to get back some of the
mhm,
duties, or some, or if not all, of the duties which had been imposed by the Section 301, this China trade
mhm.
war tariffs.
Yeah.
And people who had reached out to my firm, I know, in fact, there were multiples with over $1 million that they
Mhm,
stood to get back. And without having customs counsel or counsel that you trust,
mhm.
you can miss out on opportunities. And I think that's a really important message that you shared just now.
Yeah. Um, it's really that you know in reality, even though it costs money to hire attorney, but in reality, hiring the right attorneys can really help your company more profitable because they are able to anticipate what's coming in terms of these changes. They can put out a fire just in case something is happening within your company, right? And they can minimize the risk. So we as the entrepreneurs, we take risks, and that's how we got our rewards. And when you minimize those risks, you kind of like you can move in or progressing faster. It's kind of like when there's a less friction, you'll fly faster. It's kind of same concept, right? So attorney's job is really to reduce the friction while you operating your business, so that you can glide or you can fly farther and higher.
Absolutely. Nicely
Yeah.
put. Um, I've got one other question for you. I'd like
Mhm.
to understand, your perspective on working cross-culturally, across diverse, cultures. What are your suggestions for working with people from other cultures in international trade transactions or in business transactions in general?
Um, I think it's very important, um, especially if you're doing business internationally, um, whether or not you have customers in overseas or you purchase the products from overseas. Having a different cultural perspective is very important in a sense that doesn't matter what business we're in. The bottom line is we are in this human to human relationship, right? And when we're dealing with one human being to another human being, the, the central, um, the most important things when you develop that relationship is the trust. And to reach the trust, like credibility, you need to really think, stepping in other people's shoes and look at the perspective through their eyes. That's how I um, found out is most effective in terms of establishing the relationship is to understand them more. And without, I mean, we can always judging um, why they do certain things with our own lens. It's easier for us to do it that way. But when we're doing that, we are kind of reflecting our judgment onto the other person and not necessarily, is from that particular person. Uh, Let me just give you an example. I heard a lot of complaint, um, you know, especially clients from Asia. Um, Sometimes they went to attorney who does not speak their native language or they don't have any cultural understanding. So there's always a frustration there, not because of the competency of the attorney, but just the matter of communication, right? When they see that particular attorney, they have to bring their own interpreter. And not only that, when they express their idea of about how they want their case to proceed and what they want as an outcome, sometimes they feel they've been judged uh, about their ideas, and that's kind of like a frustration that some of the non-English speaking clients that I have. It is sometimes the attorney just didn't have that understanding of where they're coming from and why they're proposing that particular ideas, um, things like that. Now, that's my situation, with the attorney and clients, and same thing applies to your customers as well. We really need to step into their shoes and looking the situation through their eyes if we want to have more understanding about why they're doing things that they're doing. So I think it's very important to have that perspective.
Most definitely. And your story really hits home, in terms of well, here's what I'm trying to express, or here's what I really want. I actually had this experience just yesterday.
Mm,
I was talking to someone about a business venture that they have. And
mm,
there were two people in the meeting, and I had to just turn to one of them and I said, would it be okay if I spoke to them in Spanish?
mm,
Because I really wanted to drill down to the importance of why I was asking the questions, why I'm asking them, and what those implications could be.
mm.
I completely, I understand the importance of that. And hopefully, those of you watching this also do. But of course, if you're interested in better understanding that, Tony is most certainly available
Yeah.
for you to reach out to him with other questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you for your time.
Tony, thanks for joining me today. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.